Welcome to Nature Guard. We're glad to have you. We're excited to train you. Now these videos are going to show you how to spray a house, also how not to spray a house. It's kind of a basic intro to what you're going to be doing while you're here. One of the things that we always make sure is we got to wear gloves. We don't do it just because it's our company policy, but it's also the law. So always make sure you're wearing your gloves. If we pull up to a job and you're not wearing your gloves, we don't really give warnings for it. We train you on it. We give you the access to all the gloves you need, and it's a quick way to lose your job. Right, now we're going to go over spraying the yard. We're using a product called Bifin. We'll go over mixing in a different video. But one of the things that we always forget is we got to hit the transition points really heavy. That's where a lot of your activity is, and then we widen up when we're spraying the yard. But we need to focus on those transition points, so the grass to the cement, the mulch bed to the cement, or mulch bed to grass. Those are going to be some key focal points or areas where you find a lot of activity. So here's another transition point. Now, one thing to always look out for are going to be these blooming flowers. You don't want the drift or spraying those directly. Obviously, we've got the pollinators that we don't want to, we're not treating for the pollinators. Also, you've already sprayed the foundation with Taurus and you don't want those products to mix. So I'm not going to spray like this. It's going to be a little bit closer to the ground. I'm going to hit these transition points and get around those flowers. And then what we'll do is we'll actually come back through with granules and then cover most of the area with the granules. You've sprayed out here, about 2 to 3 feet away from the foundation with Taurus. And so again, you don't want to be spraying the foundation and crossing those products. All right, so here is what not to do. There is no product in this backpack, so we're just using water. But giving you an example, so we've got your blooming flowers. We do not want to spray blooming flowers. And I see guys do this. They come across the flowers just like that. And yeah, we're not spraying for bees. That's not what we're trying to do. So the other thing to watch for are going to be these irrigation boxes, as well as the sewage, where the sewage is. That's essentially another transition point, so you will find a lot of activity in there. You don't see the sprinkler boxes a whole lot here in Oklahoma, but it is something to pay attention. The sewage lines obviously is everyone will have those. But the other thing are going to be these mulch beds. So you'll spray it to get the initial knockdown, and then you'll also come back through and put some granules around it because it holds a lot of moisture. All right, so with the yard, what we find, or what I see quite a bit, is guys either spraying too high or too low. You want to find that middle ground where you're getting the coverage, but you're not oversaturating the grass. And then if you're doing it too high, you're also not getting a lot of the drift. If there is a lot of wind, you want to change the speed. You want to turn your backpack down to where it's a heavier droplet. If it's not windy at all, you can turn it up a little bit, sometimes move a little bit faster. But you want to make sure you're paying attention to the drift, also that you're not pointing it straight down. Some don'ts when you're spraying. One of those is going to be, it's too close to the ground. Now, you're not going to kill the grass or anything, but you're going to use way too much product, and you'll oversaturate the grass. And it's also going to take you 30 minutes just to do the yard. The other don't would be like too high of an angle. So it's actually, most of it's just drifting away. So if you're going like this, it's all just going to drift away from you. Whereas you want to find kind of like the happy middle ground to where you don't have a ton of drift, but you're getting full coverage of the grass. We've already talked about the height and watching the drift. One of the ways that you want to kind of eliminate the drift getting on you is obviously know the wind direction and then the way you're pointing your wand. So if the wind's blowing in your face, you obviously don't want to be spraying into the wind because it's all going to blow back on you. So if the wind's blowing in my face, you'll see all that drift coming on my legs. You want to turn it so that the drift is going away from you. And then if you have to, you spray closer to the ground to try and minimize the drift. Walk down one way, walk back, and then walk back the same way so that the wind's not blowing your face. This is how we expect you to do the foundation, especially around the doorways. There is an incorrect way of doing it, and I see a lot of guys do it this way because it's convenient, or honestly just kind of being lazy. So they'll come across and they'll just kind of do it like that. The other thing I see is we smoke the whole door like that. So we just sprayed the whole bottom of their door, and we don't want to spray their door. We just want to spray the transition point in those corners, because if there was product in this, over time it will leave some like white drops. It doesn't stain, it doesn't take off paint or anything, but you can see that it's been kind of like sprayed frequently. So we don't want to spray the doors. Same thing when you're spraying these corners. You don't want to soak it. You're not just coming through and just soaking everything. You just want to do a little bit in the spot that you see the activity, especially the spider webs of the wasp nest. But you're not going through where it's just dripping down all of their walls. You also have their furniture here. So guys will either skip around it, or they're just going to spray on this spot, go around, spray the other spot. That's not the correct way to do it. We actually want you guys to pull that furniture away, and so you can get behind the furniture. Now, if it's too heavy and it's like set in place, then yeah, you might have to do that. But with these ones, it takes just 2 seconds to pull those out. And so like with this chair, right, you can just slide it out and you can get around it just fine. If there's cameras, things like that, be mindful of it. Obviously we don't want to spray the cameras or any of their decor items. So with the garage, it's just like the front door, the back door. You don't want to be spraying the garage door itself. You want to be hitting more of the transition point, and then also where the garage foundation meets the driveway. That's really where the focal point is. And then the corners, make sure we're not spraying like the garage door itself, because it's just going to leave kind of like water droplets. And again, it won't stain, it's not going to take paint off, it's not going to discolor anything, but you can see over time little drops of water. This is the wrong way. This is how not to spray the garage. All right, so we're going to show you guys how to properly clean down the eaves of the home. The things that people always forget is it's not just around the windows. Anywhere there's going to be spider webs, wasp nests, and we clean all those down. It's not just the eaves. We also get around the doorways, windows, even patio furniture. To show you the do's on the eaves is your brush needs to touch every part of the eave, and that is an expectation. It's what we promise the customer. And so all of this is going to get touched with my brush. Even if there isn't anything there, especially on the initials, you want to make sure that all these spots are getting covered, because a lot of times you may not even see them until you brush it away or until you get right close. And that's something that people do notice, especially other door-to-door companies or other people that are trying to get grow their pest control businesses. They're going to point out those flaws, and the eaves is going to be the first thing they see and can point out the things that we've missed. So we showed you how to do the eaves. Now we're going to show you what not to do. Looks good. So we're going to show you how to granulate the yard. I always start on one section or one corner and I work my way around. You want to make sure that you get enough coverage. You don't want to saturate one area, especially when you first start the spreader. Sometimes it kind of piles up down in the on the spreader part. So if you see, I made sure to get the right coverage, and I paid attention to where the granules are going, so that when I turned around, I got a little bit of an overlap. Kind of like when you're mowing the lawn, you want a little bit of an overlap so you get even coverage and you're not missing spots. We're going to show you how to granulate the mulch beds. Some guys will do it with their hands, so with the spreader itself like this. That works. I also like to do it in the corners just by hand, and that way I can get to some of those spots a little bit better, and then a little heavier as well in the main areas. All right, so a few other don'ts is like getting the granules on their walkway. If you're worried about that, I actually will sometimes even just go like this across their walkway so I don't get granules on their, on their walkway. Same thing with on their patios and stuff. Just be aware of where the granules are going. All right, here's what not to do when you're granulating the mulch bed.